opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Amazingly, we find you back with us on Revolution Radio. This is David Mackey's Shiny Side Out, second hour, on freedomslips.com, on the number one listener-supported talk radio on the net. So we ask that you push the donate button on the station's website to or subscribe, and there's so many different ways. You can do it by check, you can, like a money order, you can use Patreon to support the station, you can buy some merch. The easiest way to do it is just buy some merch. Get yourself some merch. If you like anything that any one of the hosts say, they support your opinion or it differs from you, but you've learned something, that's really important that you support the station. Because, as I think Willow, through the bumpers, says, to keep the fight going. There's the information fight,
that's Willow, I think.
Yeah, it's very, very important that you do that. You do support the stations. So, the easiest way I've said, you can get yourself a t-shirt or a mug or anything you like. If you like the artwork, you can choose a different product, and then you can modify that so you can purchase what you want on what you want. And it's really cool. Mecky and I also have a merch outlet for Shiny Side Out merchandise. I suggest the hoodie, which is a very, very well constructed piece of, not material, but it's a clothing item. And I've had mine for 7 years.
Okay.
I think 8 years since I first made the merch. And I've got mugs, and all my friends have them. I've shipped them out, even to some contest winners. We sent some things out. Or even a t-shirt we've sent out to Lorian Fenton, I think she was the winner. And look, to be honest, it's a great station to be able to... The platform is great. We are able to get the words out. Now, we put this live to YouTube as well. And there's a danger in the kind of content that we could say if it wasn't going live to air to YouTube, because there's some certain filters. So please understand that we're doing that within a certain boundary. Let's just put it that way. And we respect and understand what the rules are for YouTube. And just not really changing what we say, it's kind of how we say it. I think that's the most important
that's right.
point to take home. Now, we thank you for listening to Revolution Radio and keep up the good work. We're halfway through show number 520.
20 and the 500.
20, what is 500?
Yeah, that's fun.
And this is actually Ancient Aliens Part 3 from what I can work out.
I think it is.
So, and the number of the counting shall be 3, Mackie. No more, no less.
Shall be that.
Oh, but it'll be heaps more because we're barely halfway through. So, it's just the way it is. So, this is Ancient Aliens. Now, in this topic of Ancient Aliens, we're moving through we've moved through the visible universe and what we've detected and how many planets there are, the size of and distance of these planets from us, whether they're inhabitable or not is still to be determined. We're still looking for life. Humankind is still looking for life out there. And if you don't understand what that truly means, we're at a point within our evolution that the technology allows us this time around, because we think it's happened in the past, to start to not only question but to hunt for and look for friends.
Yep.
But as naive as we are, not every species we were to encounter would be our friends.
Yeah, look, if they're truly alien, truly alien, right? The chances are that we wouldn't have a clue as to what motivates them. And would we be their food? Well, yeah, maybe.
Quite possibly.
Right. Don't know.
Don't look up, Mickey.
Die. What now? Yes,
The AI says you're going to die of... What was
I
it?
love the leader.
I love the leader too. I love the leader more.
It's yeah, but look, it is really an interesting conundrum. The whole extraterrestrial question, right? I mean, who are they? What are they like? Are they going to be our friends or not? I mean, I don't know. Don't know.
So, continuing with that theme,
Mm.
there is evidence across the planet that we're not the first technological society, and all of the tales of all of the native folk around the world
Completely.
all support there being life that has visited this world, passed on information, tried to tell us from whence they came, like the Dogon tribe,
Oh, definitely.
a non-visible star, the second star in the system, which is infrared only, and the Dogons have recorded this information, and when it was finally worked out what they were supporting here, it was true. Indeed, there is another star in that star system, which is the second one, which, you can't see it by the naked eye. How could they even have guessed that that's what it was? Because the people told them, like the Anunnaki that the Sumerians recorded, and all of the other tales around the planet of the Great Flood and a possible large metal ship that took people or samples of the people. There are instances of that, and certainly with the Tic Tac, if it isn't human-made, then it's clearly another race of something or other sharing the planet, or coming here to visit. Maybe it's a holiday destination. That might have just purely been a shuttle.
We have no idea.
We don't know. It's all speculation at this point, but I'll be honest with you. If the US hasn't already pulled this card out for the current conflict going on, where they're using some kind of anti-gravitic machinery with futuristic weapons, why not? If they have it, that'll stop the conflict.
Use it.
Yeah. Oh, no, just keep it hidden in the basement. Who cares, right? Whatever. So Meki, the idea surrounding ancient aliens is a very simple one. It's a basic one. And it states... It does. Honestly. It states that the human population was influenced by a group of extraterrestrials that visited Earth in the past. The aliens were directly involved in the evolution of primates, including humans, and it has been suggested that this was accomplished by way of genetic engineering, crossbreeding also, or a combination of both, ultimately helping in the development of human cultures or the technologies and religion, assisting in all of these, including, like, for instance, the Sumerians suddenly popped up as a city out of nowhere with, roads and buildings and a parliament and writing that had no origin. How? Well, they said those people taught us. So the idea first gained widespread exposure with the 1968 publication of Chariots of the Gods, which my mum owned a copy, by Eric von Daniken. Yes, and it was what got me into everything. But the concept has been around since the middle of the 19th century. A common variant of the idea includes proposals that deities from most, if not all, religions, including angels and demons, were actually extraterrestrials. That makes a heck of a lot more sense than the current ideal, whose advanced technologies were taken by people as evidence of a divine status. This concept is related to the religious practice of a cargo cult, which can be seen in the modern-day pre-industrial tribal societies, especially during World War II, when indigenous people were contacted by soldiers on a very small island, for instance, with advanced equipment like planes and cigarette lighters and, wearing furs and things, the fur-lined top, because they didn't even have pressurized cockpits, and it was quite cold. And also things such as guns and tanks The cult subsequently attempted to obtain wealth through magic and religious rituals and practices. The ancient alien theory states that extraterrestrials purposely tricked the human population into believing they were gods. Probably not true. I don't think they would have tricked them. They obviously different, maybe taller.
I think it would have been a natural.
I think we created that ideal. You know, you remember if something's sufficiently different and you're not aware of how it works, then to you it's magic. So if I took an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy phone back 100 years or 2,000 years, I'd be killed at the stake or burnt to death or whatever the current...
They'll do away with you somehow.
The popular way of killing people, right?
I have a bag of rocks, please.
How do you know she was a witch? Well, she's dressed like one. They put me in these clothes. She turned me into a newt. A newt! I got better. Okay, so the Fermi paradox is the apparent contradiction between the estimates of the probability of the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations and the lack of evidence for or contact with such civilizations. It has been proposed that, with the current age of the universe and its vast number of stars, if the Earth was typical, extraterrestrial life should be common. In response to this paradox, the zoo hypothesis has been suggested. It states that aliens generally avoid making their presence known to humanity or avoiding exerting an influence on development. That's actually a prime directive in Star Trek. Somewhat akin to zookeepers observing animals in a zoo or experimental scientists observing a study of life. Adherents of the hypothesis feel that the Earth and humans are being secretly surveyed using equipment located on Earth or elsewhere in the solar system, possibly even the moon. Charles Fort, unpublished 1915 manuscript novel X, describes how Martian beings or Martian events control life on Earth. Fort ultimately burnt the manuscript, but one surviving quote from it is, "The Earth is a farm. We are someone else's property."
And this is again another interesting observation to have made. Now this is Charles Fort, 107 years ago, and then recently Jupiter Ascending, I think, the Wachowski brothers movie,
yes,
dealt with exactly the same subject matter. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the Wachowski sisters, but all of their movies are going back to really ancient concepts.
Yes.
Which I'm glad about. I'm glad that is happening, right? Because we shouldn't forget this. And so that these are not original thoughts, right? That the Earth is a farm, or we're someone else's property, or anything like that, or that we're living in a matrix, or whatever the case may be, right? These are not original thoughts. These thoughts have been thought for a long time. We just don't know about this because in school you don't hear about these things.
Well, Becky, even the Bible, for all of those religious folk out there who might happen across this YouTube or be listening right now, the Watchers are a thing. It's stated in the Bible itself. So if I was to suggest who are the Watchers, angels or something, sure they are. Right? What are the giants? The Nephilim. Yeah, well, they're gone now. Where did they go? The questions have larger answers than the participant in that question is willing to answer.
The thing is this: whenever I have a discussion these days with religious people, right? They say the Bible, you shouldn't take it literally. It's analogy. It's subtext.
Mm-hmm.
You should take it like it's an allegory, right? It's not really meant to be taken literal. I say, okay, right. I mean, but clearly the Old Testament is a history book of the Jews. I mean, you can twist it any which way you want, but it's a genealogical sequence of the Jewish people.
Yep.
Right up until the temple times. Right.
What about all the begatting?
Well, no, that too, right? And it starts with the creation of Adam and Eve, which of course the Genesis, in fact, is a very poor copy of the epic of the Enuma Elish that we shared with you guys. So it's like a child retelling a story. The Enuma Elish was quite complex and fairly abstract in some ways, but also very realistic and very descriptive. Whereas the retelling in the Bible is a bit more simplistic and childlike, as I said.
And remember that the Jewish version had gods, plural. And
correct.
Also, that was changed to a single god because that didn't support the narrative.
See, this is well, look here. So, God in the original text is referred to as Yahweh Elohim.
That's right.
Yahweh Elohim is the Most High. Now, in English, that sounds the Most High, maybe singular, maybe plural. In Hebrew, it's very clear; it's plural. Elohim, H-I-M, is the plural form. Like, for some example, modern Hebrew, you got kibbutz. One kibbutz is one like communal farm, right? But it's for a number of them, it's kibbutzim.
Ah, okay? Right. Yes.
So it's Yahweh Elohim, the Most High as a group, and it's also the sons of God, not the Son of God, but the sons of God came down. But it's actually the sons of the gods because it's Yahweh Elohim. So
I hope your head didn't explode, but that's the way it is.
But again, I'm not making this up. And again, I urge you to, if you only have a single language, it hampers you somewhat. But if you've got more than one language available to you, look at other translations of ancient texts, right, in your own language, be it German, Spanish, whatever. If you could read the original text, be it in Aramaic or maybe Greek for the New Testament, that's good because it was written down in Greek. Right? The New Testament is all in Greek because that's where the church was founded in the Greek colonies in what is now Turkey.
Go back older, Maggie. Go back to the Anunnaki and the Sumerian text.
Yeah,
and you'll find what appears to be the original copy.
Yeah, completely. And it's really interesting because again, it is a lot more vivid and a lot more detailed, right?
And it's not changed. No one's done anything to it. It's exactly the same message that was pressed into the clay and fired.
100%. You need to. You don't need to do anything, but what you should do is go back to as old a source, as original a source as you can. Go back to primary sources. That's the first rule of research.
That's right. Primary source.
Primary source. Go to the very first. So if you get it from the horse's mouth, in the common vernacular.
Yes.
So it is really a matter of being able
citizen journalism.
So but look at the world anew and understand that there's a lot there that has sort of been hidden from us in many ways.
Well, how we've mistakenly accepted an excuse for something, which now through technology we're able to understand what it did and how it works. So, you can genetically make someone or modify someone now, whereas being able to describe that to someone, no, you couldn't do that 1,000 years ago.
In fact, if you look at all these fantastical creatures in Greek mythology, other mythologies as well, half this, half that.
Yep.
It
makes total sense now, right?
Well, we could. We're now at a point in our development, scientifically speaking, where we could create chimera or hybrids or.
In fact, we're making a T-Rex right now.
Well, should we?
Out of a chicken.
Yeah, I know. Mammoths are top of the list at the moment as well. Right? So you can see a woolly mammoth in your local zoo pretty soon, I'm sure.
Well, they'll be sweating like a mongrel because that climate's gone.
Well, actually, see, this is the thing. So mammoths are not from extreme climates because they were eating buttercups.
Yes, that's right.
Don't let the fur.
Don't let the wool trick you. Yeah.
So it might be winter coat. They might have shed that fur in summer.
Yeah, and there was also a rhinoceros that had fur.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I know, right?
The package. So
the pachyderms. Yeah, it was all the megafauna.
Yeah, exactly. 15 to 20,000 years ago, the Earth was blessed, if you want, with megafauna. Most of which, not all, most of which have gone extinct. No longer there. And we don't know why. And I say it is because it's the same reason that wiped out the existing high civilization at that time.
Yes.
Whatever event that was, I'm not saying what it was, Dave. No. We've got some idea, some inkling. But whatever event that was, wiped them out. Right? Just to be very, very clear, right? That's what we can see there. So what then do we take away from this? What we take away from is that today, with our scientific advancements, we can understand a lot more of what went on in the past, what we choose not to. Imagine moving 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years into the future, right? And imagine what we would understand then.
Yes.
From the old monuments. Because right now, you read any of the ancient texts, and you go, oh, hang on, that sounds like that. Like, I mean, I always come back to this open sesame, right? Alibaba and the 40 Thieves.
That's right.
It's a cave with a voice command door.
That's right.
Magic in Arabian Nights, right?
But it's in every shopping center. Well, kind of in every shopping center.
Yeah, but you don't even need a voice. It's proximity now.
That's right. You just walk up to it and opens.
It doesn't always work.
Total secure. Totally secure that.
Yeah. So, but the point is that we have that now. It's something that's there. It's no magic, right? We understand completely the technology behind it.
That's right. We even have, your device will unlock just looking at you these days.
Yeah, and other things like flying carpet. I mean, any flying machine would have seemed amazing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And certainly, but looking at the ancient stories, right, myths, legends,
mm-hmm.
and look at them in not just as stories or flights of fantasy. Look at them in a cold and sober light of day as things that might have happened. They might have happened. King Solomon was meant to have a flying machine with which he visited the Queen of Sheba. Did he? I don't know. The Nazca lines are there. You can't see them from the ground.
That's right.
You have to build a really high tower before you start seeing anything.
Well, remember that they cut the top of an entire mountain off.
Yeah.
And we don't even know where the rubble went.
Yeah. And there's this really odd track of holes in the ground.
Oh, yes, it's called the Band of Holes.
Yeah, it looks like some kind of look. I'm not saying machine went along and dug all
drilled.
The holes
out,
but it looked like something.
But it looks like a machine went along and drilled.
Yeah, because what's the point of it? You have to ask yourself, what's the point of it?
And no one with any technology did anything of the sort.
No. So and no written records are there. So all the all the native people of South America specifically, but in North America as well, but South America, none of them said, "Oh, we built all of this."
No, it was just there.
This was here when we got here.
Mm-hmm.
The Egyptians said they built the pyramids and all that. Well,
they should have said it was here when we got here too.
Yeah, but see, there's a lot of the Temple of Luxor, the Sphinx, as well as the base.
That's right.
The pyramids are now believed to be much older, and the Sphinx was not built by any Egyptian pharaoh. The only thing they found was a stele that said, "Oh, I repaired this thing."
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody put their head on it because you can see it's completely disproportionate. I keep saying this as well.
Yeah, they carved the head that was there into their head.
Yeah, because
also the Egyptians marked all of the monuments and things they found with their hieroglyphs, but they were already there, is stated.
Not a single mark inside the pyramids except for the what I believe are the fraudulent.
Well, they copied exactly the cartouche from a book,
including the spelling mistake.
That's correct. It was an exact copy, including a spelling mistake, which
research.
Yeah, that's right. Just learn. But Mackie, I thought through all that technology that we were talking about, there might have been a segue.
There will be in a second. There will be, definitely. So what we need to understand is that high technology might have come before us, and then now we are just like the phoenix, we're rising yet again from the ashes, looking at our past, not fully understanding it, etc., etc. Now, but what if we take it also another way? I mean, this is interesting. So if we look at today's world, right, and we live in a world of wonder and miracles. You can twist it any which way you want. Yes, there's hardship and there are bad things that happen. Completely true. But
and not every landmass with every civilization has an equal grip on what the current tech is.
Oh no, completely true. Exactly. That's really important to understand as well. So there are people that are still living today as they would have lived 5,000 years ago.
You know that little island off India, Becky, where they hug?
Yeah, exactly. I forget what it's called.
I forget the name of it too. Yeah, the whole world is banned from visiting it.
You can't go there. And there was a American missionary that went there. They killed him promptly, right?
Yeah, promptly.
For his troubles. But the point here is, yes, that's 100% correct, right? This is definitely happening today. So we've got people that are super highly advanced, right? And people that are living what we would call primitively, but maybe
Yes.
have more happily than us. Having said that, if I asked any of you, could you go and build a car? Could you go and build a nuclear power plant? Do you even understand how it works?
We think we do, but we don't.
No, we don't. So if I told you a nuclear power plant is just a big steam engine, you go, what? No, that's not true. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, it is. It's a big steam.
The hot material just boils the water. It goes through a steam turbine, just like you could with a kettle. That's all it is.
It's a thing. And we haven't really moved. What we want is fusion. Now, fusion is a whole different ballgame.
We're so close.
Oh, dude, aren't we? But ultimately, we're not quite there. Or maybe we are. I mean, who knows?
We're very, very close. We had it the last one that was the UK had made was the longest firing of it so far.
And there was several seconds, which in well, I guess nuclear physical terms that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you get it up to that kind of thing, that's really quite.
Think about what materials you could make with fusion.
Oh,
I know, right?
What else? I mean, you don't know, because the thing. Okay, fusion is what happens inside the sun. That's where all the heavy elements are born.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all the heavy elements, all heavy elements come out of the heart of the sun.
That's right.
All of them. There's nothing else that produces the heavy elements. So we are made of star stuff. Essentially, right? That's what it means, which is true. So what then? Okay, so now but we don't know how it works, right? And if you look at the speed of our development, it's quite astounding as well, Dave. I mean, 1888, the brothers Wright proved that heavier power,
air travel, powered travel was a thing. That's right.
I think it was like 100 yards or 200 yards.
Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah.
But that was enough. Sorry, it wasn't. Yeah, that's right. So 1888, but in 1903. Let me take the whole thing. So during World War II, the term Foo Fighter was used by Allied aircraft pilots to describe the various UFOs and mysterious aerial phenomena seen in the skies over both the European and the Pacific theater of operations. Right. In the wake of the war, the world entered an era of substantial achievement and technical advancement. Now, Foo Fighters. There was even a popular band at some point that was called Foo Fighters.
Well, they still exist. Yep.
Right, yeah. So Foo Fighters are really just these balls of light that would accompany the pilots. They weren't fighting, right? They weren't attacking the Allied pilots.
They were in and around the planes, spoken about, being seen by all the pilots on both sides.
Yeah, and it's very similar to the UFO phenomenon. In fact, the same really that
the
we have
spheres,
today.
yeah, the orbs,
right?
yeah.
No difference, right? Now, one such example of this technological advancement is the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, right? Which is a United States aircraft that was developed in the early 1960s. The SR-71 Blackbird is a strategic reconnaissance aircraft that currently holds the airspeed record. In 1903, Wilbur Wright set the aircraft speed record going 6.82 miles per hour, which is about 11 kilometers an hour. 11 kilometers an hour. You can run faster than that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Well, I can. I wouldn't.
If a lion's coming, the game on.
Yeah, in 1976, 73 years later, the SR-71 Blackbird went 2,193 miles per hour, which is 3,500 kilometers per hour. 3,500 kilometers per hour in 73 years. The craft was manned by Alden W. Burch during the record flight, but it is highly capable of taking off and landing unassisted. In modern times, organizations have been developed, such as the Disclosure Project, which have alleged the existence of a world government cover-up of information relating specifically to unidentified flying objects, or UAPs now, as they're called, UAPs, because UFOs have been acknowledged, they're now UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, and alien encounters. And when I say alien, we were talking about true extraterrestrials. I believe though, these encounters also include, or should include at least, the inner earthers, or the people that are on the moon or on Mars, or for that matter, right?
Or those that live in the Southern Ocean.
Because, yep, they're around, I'm telling you. In modern, so people argue that the technical advancements humans have experienced since World War II, because it has been, because, I mean, if you look at what happened? I mean, okay, you can argue the war really pushed it. The Germans really developed a lot of stuff. I also believe the Germans found a lot of stuff in all these. See, do you think the Indiana Jones movies are fiction? No.
Mm-hmm.
The Indiana Jones movies, they are fun, and there's certainly some artistic license, but the fundamental ethos of the Nazis is replicated perfectly in the sense that the Nazis were very much after the occult or the ancient hidden technologies.
The hidden secrets and texts, yeah, that's right.
They went all over the world. They sent people to Tibet. And I believe very strongly that the Nazis did actually find something, right? And that was then, I guess, moved to either or both the United States and the USSR, right, after World War II. Because especially the US, they made a beeline for these secret Nazi hideouts, these research centers. Didn't go for Berlin. The Americans didn't go.
No, that's right.
Russia, take Berlin. Have at it.
You have it.
Have it. Take it. No,
where are you going? Nowhere.
They're going down in the Black Forest, into this underground.
And then for a walk in the Black Forest. Yeah, and they found that the Germans were working on red mercury and mercury experiments.
All kinds of interesting things.
some things that were never even thought that were a thing.
Yeah, astounding stuff. So I believe it is very possible that ancient tech or potentially extraterrestrial tech was found during World War II, was secreted away during and after World War II for various reasons. Who knows what, right? I mean, we can't tell the people, blah, 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 this and that. I mean, if you think about it, the world was maybe a little bit more naive. I'm not saying that people were stupid, but I think they had maybe a simpler worldview, I guess. I mean, gay marriage, not a thing. You can't even say you're gay. What else? This, racial segregation. That was definitely a thing still, right? And liberty. Women were just entering the workforce. Really.
Not so much.
They had been voting for a couple of decades, but look where that got us.
But Becky, the gap between the tech at the time and the tech that was presumably found and researched was so wide.
Massive,
the gap
massive.
was so wide that you had to hide it.
Yeah, well, I guess so, right? And presumably, not presumably, most definitely, that's what happened, right? Now, so people argue, as I said, that the technical advancements humans have experienced since the last
The stick
war,
with a nail in it. Yep.
the stick with a nail, were achieved with the help of extraterrestrial life and equipment. Now, I also believe maybe with ancient tech that was found.
Mm-hmm.
Proponents of the ancient alien theory have suggested that the development of nuclear weapons sparked an increased interest in humanity's evolutionary path, ultimately leading to an era of mass abductions and close encounters. Some others point to the current global climate disruption and apocalypse predictions, identifying them as a precursor for the secret extraterrestrial involvement and intervention on Earth, ensuring the survival of life. There is a prophecy, and I forget the prophet now. Mother Shipton, I want to say, but I could be wrong. And she says that after the great destruction, there will come a shining snake out of the sky and land, and there will be people emerging from it and help the survivors of whatever,
Awesome.
cataclysm is coming away. Well, that's one of the things. I think it's Mother Shipton.
Mom?
Is that possible? Well, why not? Like we discussed at the outset of this Ancient Aliens show cycle, the universe is vast and old. Our galaxy, just our galaxy, right? The Milky Way galaxy, could be host, not saying it is, could be host to billions of Earth-like planets. Always remembering, though, that, this is only necessary for life as we know it, right? We know now that there are extremophiles, and we know that there are life forms for which our habitat or our atmosphere would be poisoned. The very first extinction on this planet came about when
Because of oxygen, that's right.
Right. So let's be very clear. Life does not have to be like us. But let's say, for argument's sake, there are billions of potential planets. Now, if there are billions of potential planets, and they have been around potentially for billions of years, because we don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then why not?
They would actually inhabit every single habitable land that existed in the universe, right?
You think so?
Yeah, you would. So even if life was 1 in a million, that's still millions of civilizations. So using the which equation was it, Mackie? The one that determined which one?
The Drake equation.
The Drake equation. Thank you. So even using the Drake equation, the number's still significantly large enough to just presume automatically that the universe is teeming with life.
Mm-hmm.
Teeming.
Yep.
It's like if you look at the desert, you don't see anything, but under the surface there's life. There's small creatures that are harvesting the moisture in the air. There's lizards designed that if you get one drop of moisture on it, it'll find its way to the mouth of the lizard, just for instance. But if you go to a rainforest, there is life everywhere. It just depends on what you're looking for and what you expect to see, and don't expect it's all going to look like us.
No, definitely not. I completely agree with you. Yeah.
So,
but we just broached the subject though, which is I love. So just take us through it, my friend.
Yeah, I will. So aliens and the Third Reich. So invading armies of almost inconceivable power or invincible power, incredible weaponry designed to intimidate and annihilate. During the Second World War, Germany possessed the most technologically advanced military in the world. Absolutely 100% true. Weapons such as the jet aircraft, precision bombers, guided missiles, all designed to blitzkrieg along Europe. They developed the first cruise missile, the V-1 Buzz bomber and the V-2, the first ballistic missile. German scientists were the envy of the world, but what made them so advanced? Were they simply smarter than others? They were, it says here, simply viewing ancient texts not as legendary myths, but as some source of historical and scientific fact.
Keep finish, and then at the paragraph I need to say something. Go.
All right. The Nazis were the best Oriental scholars in the world, so they translated ancient texts such as the Hindu Sanskrit into German.
Now, sorry, Dave has more to share, but this is really, really important to understand. And this is where the Anglo-Saxon and the Germanic cultures separate violently.
Mm-hmm.
In Germany, there's at university you can study Märchenkunde. Now, a Märchen is a fairy tale. Fairy tales are taken very, very seriously in Germany as a source of both cultural knowledge and deep psychological insight. Right? So the Brothers Grimm didn't write all these stories. They didn't invent them. They just, went all around Germany. They collected them. That's what Snow White and Big Bad Wolf and all that stuff. They collected it from all over Germany. So for a number of years, they would travel around Germany and collect it. The Germans are taking these stories very seriously. It's in the German ethos. Now, because the thing is, you might otherwise dismiss this as just, some kind of nonsense or hokum. But Germans do take a lot of interest in fairy tales and what they have to tell us, both about ourselves and potentially the past, as well as the lessons learned from the fairy tales, right? And this extends, of course, into legends, into myths, etc., and certainly from other nations as well, not just European fairy tales. Märchenkunde. Imagine that. I've got a bachelor's degree in Märchenkunde. I've got a PhD in fairy tale analysis. Mm-hmm. It's a thing. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, well, they visited Antarctica twice. Wouldn't you have discovered something the first time and not have to go back? What was it that led them there the second time?
Good question.
All right. And why did Admiral Byrd go down there with 2 carrier groups? Something is really going on. Really, really, really going on here. All right. So in 1939, German scientists invented their own flying saucer-shaped aircraft and called it the, what? Oh, can you please pronounce that?
Haunebu.
Haunebu. When the Nazi Party swept into power in 1933, the Vril Society, which we've covered in the Secret Societies, encouraged Hitler and his henchmen, that's probably a really bad term, to fund a worldwide search of ancient alternative technologies. German scientists and researchers scoured the planet for ancient texts and relics, such as the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant. Much more evidence points to the Nazis dealing with alien technology.
And again,
the results are clear.
Yeah, I think there's a really great author who's sort of fallen, I guess not in this review, but I really like reading him. Hang on, I got my bookshelf here. Oh, where is he?
Let the narrator suggest, Mekki, that you've reached behind you to an enormous bookshelf full of your consumed books.
I have indeed, and this is Joseph P. Farrell. Farrell is this amazingly detailed writer. So if you get your hands on a Joseph P. Farrell book, I will highly recommend it. He's written Reich of the Black Sun, I think maybe 6 or 7 different books with that theme of ancient, I guess it sort of comes into it, ancient aliens, also the bell, the Nazi bell, Nazi technology, and it's very, very well researched, I have to say. I mean, it's actually quite dry to read. So it's not an enjoyable read. You're not going to like it, but it's full of good information. But it certainly is something to consider, because we have come a long way in a very short time, and I find it hard to explain what we've done if we just look at it. Oh, no, we just did it all ourselves. Because there's some things. There was no precursor. There was no precedent for it.
No.
Like, silicon. How do we get
fiber optics, Mekki? I'm just going to
fiber
tell
optics?
you. Yeah. So I did a timeline once that highlighted all the companies that suddenly emerged after crashed alien spaceships have been rumored to have been captured by governments around the world, and all of these immediate pop-ups of government-friendly businesses that were side funded to be able to research these technologies. And it's astounding when you look at the names involved and the outcomes and their longevity in the business world, and how they've continued military contracts, etc.
Yeah.
Right. So I was telling a friend of mine during the week, microwaves, why they claim to have been discovered earlier. It wasn't until we went into space that we discovered there was things passed on the EM spectrum that we didn't think existed. All right, so that was a discovery, probably an accidental one, but nonetheless, the things that have been stated to be inside the UFOs or UAPs, like fiber optics, there's no wires, there's nothing copper in there, because if you have copper in, say, in a magnetic field, it generates electricity, and it also generates its own magnetic field. Yep. So if you have a copper tube, for instance, and you drop a neodymium magnet down through the tube, it'll actually slow right down. Even though copper is not magnetic, the magnetic field generated by the neodymium magnet, for instance, generates a magnetic field in the copper, and therefore halting it, it's like you put a brake on, which is really extraordinary. So that accidental discovery is kind of human and happenstance. But when you're looking at the sudden invention of anti-gravity, energy sources that didn't make sense to anyone, the jet engine, which is a rotational jet engine, not the buzz bomb style of jet, which is a non-moving part, no stator or anything. All of this technology seems to have just completely sprung out of zero. There was nothing. They made a flying wing that was it's very poor to operate, right? But anyway, having said that, the folklore or the lore around UFOs does continue, Mekki.
Absolutely. So this is an interesting one. Angel hair. I don't know if you're familiar with the phenomenon. Angel hair is a substance that is said to be dispersed from UFOs or UAPs as they fly overhead. It has been described as being like a cobweb or a jelly. Angel hair has been reported at sightings of the Virgin Mary. This fact has intrigued ancient alien believers and has been used as a possible indication of extraterrestrial influence at reported sightings of the Virgin Mary and Jesus. Historical reports of angel hair show that the substance disintegrates or evaporates within a short time of forming. One publicized theory of UFO believers is that the substance is ionized air sleeting off an electromagnetic field that surrounds a craft. The most reported incident of angel hair occurred in Oloron, France in 1952. The event was characterized by a large amount of unexplained aircraft sightings. On November 2, 1959, in the Portuguese city of Evora, angel hair was collected and analyzed by armed forces technicians and scientists of the University of Lisbon. Conclusions stated that the substance was so advanced that it could be a single-celled organism of some kind, a vegetable product, not animal. Again, it could be a single-celled organism of some kind, a vegetable product, not animal.
If we made a warp drive, Mackie, maybe we'll see some other side effects. Maybe as it travels, it just produces it from what looks like thin air, but rather it's the compression waves of the, of the gravity mass that we have to create in a tunnel for us to be able to move forward. Maybe this is just a natural side effect.
Like condensation trails.
Yeah.
No, completely. I'm with you. The funny thing is I believe that as we advance technologically, right, and come up with more and more stuff, because once you start on something, let me put it this way: once you understand something is possible, you can do it. Do you know what I mean? So if
because you'll make all the roads to get there.
Well, yeah, because let's say Dave, I'm telling you right now, a time machine is possible. It's a possible thing. I've used one. We haven't got one yet, but it will be done. So because I've used one, right? Or I tell you that it's possible, it is possible, right? Then you're okay, right? So one day it will be done. Anything that we can see a path towards, right? Even if it concludes like here's a little magic black box, it will be possible one day. It will be done. We will achieve it.
Well, Mackie, as a good example, when I grew up, I was watching Dick Tracy, the cartoon, and in that he flew in a garbage bin for some reason. Right? On his wrist was a watch that was also a camera phone. We have that.
We do.
We have it today.
We do.
You can do that. It's a thing.
We can.
Is it wired to anything? No, it just works.
Yeah.
All of those obstacles were overcome.
Yep.
One by one. And then when the first person made it, do you know what they stated? Just like Dick Tracy.
Just like Dick Tracy, yeah.
Right? So this was exactly that. We had to make the path. We had to be entrepreneurs. We had to be the pith helmet with the machete going through the bush, making our own path to get there.
Yes. Path makers.
Path makers, I like it. So what have people connected?
Yeah, look, to continue or close out the angel hair phenomenon, people have connected references in the Bible to the phenomenon of angel hair. Pixie dust is also said to be related. Beginning in the 14th century, humans began to mention a gelatinous substance named star jelly. Star jelly is described as a translucent or grayish-white gelatin, which tends to evaporate shortly after falling. Same thing again, it seems. In the past, the substance was connected with meteor showers. Angel grass is a related phenomenon that occurs when short metallic threads fall to the ground in intertwined loose masses. However, angel grass is an explained occurrence and comes from certain military aircraft. It's a type of chaff used as radar countermeasure, of course. So we have a physical manifestation, and again, in ancient times, people would have seen this as well, right? And they would have go, wow, this is. They might have tried to hold it, but because it evaporated so quickly, I can only imagine that they would have thought, oh, I'm impure, or maybe I'm not holy enough, or maybe it's just for the gods, etc., etc. They would have lent even more mystique to the
encounter.
To the encounter, completely, yeah.
Right, but to say that was in the Bible itself, the angel hair.
Yes.
Wow. I've not seen it. Let me say that. out just up front. But yes, you're right, Mickey. It does lead us into angels and demons, and I think I could quickly do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
6 minutes. The idea of ancient astronauts has spawned a UFO religion named Raelism. The Raelian movement teaches that life on Earth was scientifically created by a species of extraterrestrials, which they call Elohim. Members of the Elohim appeared human and were mistaken for angels, the cherubs as we know them, or cherubim, or gods. The Bible is full of accounts of angels and demons. The text mentions millions of angels and their experiences on earth and in the heavens. In Christian tradition, demons are similar to angels. They are spiritual, immutable, and immortal. The individual demon owns a specific knowledge, sometimes on only one subject. Now, it reminds me of that game show I watched. The apocryphal book of Enoch recounts that a group of 200 rebellious angels, or watchers, left heaven and came down to earth to marry human women and have children with them. It's in the Bible. Right? The Quran depicts a story of angels that are given minds of their own, found in verse 234. One of the angels was Iblis, Satan, or Lucifer as we know, who rebelled and was therefore banished on earth to create mischief among mankind. According to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, angels were all created as good beings, but some decided to become evil. It was written that angels do not need faith, as they already have the knowledge of celestial things, which means that their action constitutes unforgivable sin. The idea of an alien intervention on Earth can be found in the modern religious philosophy of Thelema. Thelema was developed by the early 20th century British writer Aleister Crowley.
Crowley shall do what you will.
Yes.
Go on.
Crowley's system of Thelema begins with the Book of the Law, which he claims was a direct dictation from an entity named,
Aiwass.
Crowley later identified Aiwass as his own holy guardian angel. The religion is founded upon the idea that the 20th century marked the beginning of the Aeon of Horus, in which a new ethical code would be followed. Quote, do what thou will shalt be the whole of the law. The famed American rocket propulsion researcher Jack Parsons was one of the first Americans to take a keen interest in the writings of Crowley. Parsons' research into rocket propulsion was some of the earliest in the United States history. His pioneering work in the development of solid fuel and the invention of jet fuel assisted takeoff units for aircraft was of great importance to the start of humanity's space age. The work of Parsons and his peers helped people usher in the age of space travel. Jack Parsons was largely self-educated. So they're the solid rocket booster style, and you even put them on the large carrier aircraft when they've got a tank in them, just to get them off the ground. In fact, one of the Darwin Award participants who put them on his motor vehicle.
I know.
He did the same thing.
The side of a cliff.
And tooth shards were all that was left to identify the person.
You know, something really disturbing just occurred to me, Dave.
Uh-oh.
So my family name was changed for some reason, I don't know.
Yes.
When my grandfather left European.
So was
Turkey,
mine. Yes.
And went to Turkey.
Yep.
It was changed to Öncel, which is my last name also, right? Öncel also. Our original name was Aiwass Olu, which means son of or child of Aiwass.
Wow.
I just now made that connection.
These things happen. These connections are made. And I hope the connections are made for you, the listener,
That's just weird shit.
as well. Oh, yes, I know. Mine was hidden and my parents' true identity were also hidden.
It's just, and on my mother's side as well, the name was changed when they came both from the Ukraine
Yes.
into Germany in the 1880s, and again when they went from Germany from Poland, I guess, into Germany again in the 1940s. Not a lot, but it was changed quite significantly when they went from the Ukraine to Germany.
Mine changed as it came out of the Ukraine as well.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it, Dave?
It does, mate. I'll tell you that much. But guess what? This is the end of the show.
Holy moly.
Right? We're going to have the music any second. What I want you to do is donate, number one. Number two, there's the music. Listen to Jer Bears After Hours, which is coming up next. And I actually joined him last night. So you can join him as well. And you can join in and listen. And we're going to see you next week for show number 521.
120 and 500!
And in the meantime, stay up to date.